Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Previous videos said that repotting this was going to be tagged on the end. I changed my mind. It's a repot of a quite large Oncidium plant. It makes a standalone video. So this is Oncidium honeybee that I got from, where did I get this from? Burnham's. So mental block for a minute. And it's highly unlikely it's got much of a root system, if any. Right, one thing that is interesting straight away is this it is two plants and they've just been stuck in the pot. Not very good at all, really. But this one has a new growth starting, and underneath this sheath, be careful, are the new roots showing. So it's about to root. But what is interesting is these grow stones are in the pot. Now I've got some of these, and when I used them last time somebody said, what are they and where did you get them? And I don't know, and I don't know, in that order. Because I can't remember what they were called. They're in a clear bag, so there's no labelling on it. And in addition to that, I can't remember where I got them from, so I can't say. But this is not very good, quite honestly. We've got the original sphagnum moss plug here, and the plant itself has actually got virtually no roots. If you look here, what's happening, all of the roots are on that one tiny little bulb, which is the oldest bulb, which I was about to take off. I shall have to leave it on there now. This is peat fibre, but the roots that are there aren't too bad. You know, I've had worse, let's put it that way. But there's no roots on the rest of the plant. Now that's weird. That's a very unusual way for an Oncidium to be. And the only way I'm going to be able to get this to carry on growing is to generate a new root system, which it started to do. This piece has got signs of new roots, but those roots need to be on the surface of the media. Now ideally, it's starting to climb. Ideally I need to take that bulb off. If I take that bulb off, I've got no roots. So I'm going to have to plant it like that at an angle. So that's that piece. Next, what have we got over here? Is this in the same boat? This is, I can see what's been going on here. This was planted in those cocoa husk pieces, yeah, in the middle of that. They've started to rot by the looks of it, which is explains why I thought it was cocoa fibre, and they've just been stuck in another pot. Now I can't believe Sarah would have done that, so that's been done by the seller. The seller to Burnham's, I don't mean Burnham's themselves. Now this piece hasn't got a new growth yet, but again, if I'm going to get new growths and new roots, they're going to come from this latest bulb, and the only roots I've got are on the oldest part of the plant, the bit I would prefer to take off, but I can't. So, yeah, tidy them up a bit, take the sheaths off, because although they haven't got any bugs down in the sheaths, they did have whitefly on them. It did have whitefly on the blooms, basically, but they were going over, so I've just taken them off. So, I think this is going to be difficult to recover, quite honestly. I'm not sure. But I'm taking these sheaths off so that there's moisture around the base, and hopefully we can get some new growths going, new roots going, and new growths. But the new roots and growths are going to come out of this piece, which is quite a bit above the rest of the plant. So again, I'm going to have to lay that on the top of a pot so that the roots that it has got can get down in something and keep the plant hydrated. These are well hydrated plants. So these roots are working, you know, they're not inactive roots, they are supplying the hydration for the plant, and it's going right up through the rhizome. Now in theory, this has got 2 leads. This bulb produced that, and then that produced that. So in theory, we could get a new growth off of there. It's possible. If we open up the base, it might produce a growth, and it might not. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to have to put these in separate pots, because I doubt if I've got a pot big enough, but I might have a large shallow pot that they would both sort of go in opposite directions, if you see what I mean. You know, they could sit opposite each other like that. I'll see what I've got. Right, I'll be back. Right, I've got 2 of these large flat pots. I am going to pop them up separately. Mainly because they're at different development stages. I'm just going to use some of this bark, dirty bark, which it is, and I'm going to plant them deep in the pot. I mean, you know, not in deep media, put the plant deep in. I took out the grow stones out of that media that I've, you know, just thrown away on the grounds I don't want all those white bits of stone all over the garden. Quite happy to throw old media and stuff like that up in the hedge. Quite happy to do that. But not shiny white stones that will show up. So it's just typical mix for me basically. We've got the grow stones, bark, medium and small sort of mix this bark comes out at, and some charcoal. And I'm not going to add any moss into this, I'm just going to use that as a basic mix. And until these plants shoot out some roots, now that the blooms are gone, they're not doing much, so they're not going to use much, they're not going to need and use much hydration, because they're not growing, you know, they're not actually doing anything. So we'll put some in the bottom and then see if we can just lay these on edge. Once I've got a new root system, some of the older parts of the plant can come off. But the problem I've got with this is that, there's a weed down in there, we don't want that, is that these are still plump. So they are still hydrated, and therefore they're storing nutrients for the plant. So, you know, they stay, basically, certainly for now. And literally this plant's going right down in the base of the pot. Leaning over so that that new growth, when it pushes its roots out, will go straight down in the media, and then we'll get a new root system developed, which will then support the plant. And if necessary, down the line, the older part of the plant can come off then. And with any luck, this should be self-supporting. Yeah, so I'm just wiggling the media away from the base of the older part of the plant as best I can, and the media that I've wiggled out of there can come round here so that that new growth is going to get into something. So the new growth is not under the media, the new growth is sitting on the top, and everything else is not too bad, not buried, just sitting in the top. Right, so that's that one done. That'll need a hell of a good soak. Let's get the other one done. There won't be enough media here, I don't think. That's a shame. That's not like me. I normally got, hang on. I've got some already mixed up, haven't I? Somewhere. Yeah, I've got some left over from last time, so see if we can use a bit of that to finish it off. I don't think this has got any moss in it. It's the same basic mix, I think. Yes, it is. So we'll use some of that. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Goody goody. Take out the big bits. Take out the giant bits. And the bits that aren't bark. Right, same again then. A bit in the bottom, not too much, because I want the plant deep. That also helps the plant be stable. Now this one hasn't got a new growth, but it looks like there might be an eye there, but that could be for a root. And this one will, again, we'll have to go over at an angle so that where the new growth, or possibly new growths, because this has got 2 leads, this one, where they will be, those particular growths, the leads, will be sitting on top of the media. However, the roots will be buried. So again, it's just a matter of angling it in such a way that the 2 leads sit nicely on the surface. The older part of the plant's down a bit, and the roots are in the media. So subsequent growth, should we get some, will push roots down into the new media, hopefully establish a decent root system, and the plant will be on its way for the future then. Yeah, that one's wobbling a bit. I'm going to push some down a bit harder at the back here, just see if I can stabilise it. It'll probably stabilise better once it gets watered. That's better. Right, so that's those 2 done. I will put the media. I'll put the media in the label. That's all the right words, not necessarily in the right order. So, that'll remind me to get my label maker out and do 2 nice new labels in my new format. And while I've got the label maker out, I'll go back, thinking back to the previous video, and do a nice label for the Chantilly lace. I think if I keep up with the labelling, and by doing a few at a time, and every now and again have a session, you know, and pick a set and do all of them. But most of the sets are sort of done now. The cooler shady ones have all got proper labels now. A lot of the Cattleyas have. A lot of the Dendrobiums have. The Cymbidiums haven't, but then 2 of them haven't got names. So, you know, just putting Cymbidium hybrid with a shiny new label seems a bit pointless unless it's going to go to a show. And talking of shows, my yellow Cymbidium there, I don't think is going to make it to our show. It's the end of this month. Excuse me, it's the dust off of this. It might make it, but that's a month. It's the blooms have got to last a month. Now some of them have only just opened, but some of them have been open a while, so it might not make it. And if that doesn't go to the show, I haven't got anything else. That's going to be good, isn't it? And my Vanda might be open by then. We shall see. Anyway, we'll get these flooded, drowned, literally, wash all the dust off, get them settled in, and get some labels done. And hopefully we'll get some new root systems. At the moment, it's not a big worry. They have got some roots, yes, so they can hydrate and feed. But more importantly, the amount of stored energy that these plants have got is high. So they could produce a whole new growth and a root system without an old root system, but they'll be aided and abetted by the roots they've got, providing they don't get lost. Right, that's that one then. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.